So now the story is building up gradually. We will be able to unravel everything. And then we'll come to understand that the principle of innocent until proven guilty is almost like a fundamental human right. And nobody, no office holder, no authority should attempt to abuse that principle, innocent until proven guilty. Because by the time you finish listening, you will see. That's why in law they say auditory pattern. Listen to both sides. No, don't take one side. But propagandists are with us, and they are useful because they help us to laugh and to think and to engage. So propagandists are always going to run things in one direction for political gain and political end. That's okay. But time is always the tester. Time is the common denominator. In the fullness of time, therefore, everything will unravel. And then we'll all come back and say that, oh, we shouldn't have. The other day, no less a person than Martin Amidu was now critical of the killings of 1979, 50, 60 years after. Martin Amidu, a Keda, was expressing, and in defense of Cecilia Dapa, was now saying that we should be careful that we don't do what happened in 79. These are the same events that he supported. All the Keda supported, let the blood flow. But several years later, he comes to the conclusion that that was wrong, because sometimes people act on emotion, and generations follow so that we can learn from the generations past of what has happened. That's why Martin Amidu is cautioning us, don't let this Cecilia Dapa matter become like the 1979, where we caught people and without evidence, and in this charade, we shot them and killed them, but they were corrupt. It turned out that they were not corrupt at all. It turned out that the people who actually killed them became much more corrupt. Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Good Evening Ghana. It's always a pleasure to come to you. And tonight we have some vindication lessons to learn, don't we? Finally, the Office of the Special Prosecutor and Cecilia Dapa's battle is coming to a crescendo and to an end. Earlier today, we have all media received a letter written by the Office of the Attorney General to Iyoko. And the aspects of the letter sort of almost certainly condemn the work or the irresponsible work of the special prosecutor. We showed you the video that you just saw because that's the point that we're making. It's about every Ghanaian. No Ghanaian should be treated the way that the law does not allow one to be treated. So the point about it we're making is that people are innocent until proven guilty. And people must be given the rights of expression to defend themselves. It is in America's Fifth Amendment. It is in our 1992 Constitution. Yes, politics can always override everything. And when there's elections, the election fever is always good. But we should always be careful, especially those who hold the power of state. They should always be careful not to be swayed. A journalist can be swayed. We can sit in the studio and say what we want to say. We have to be careful that we don't cross the line of defamation and libel, as some often do. We all have to be careful that we don't. Beyond that, people who have state authority, Office of Special Prosecutor, a judge, Court of Appeal, High Court, Supreme Court, even Circuit Court judge, they all have a certain responsibility not to be swayed by the flavor of politics. And that is why we're concerned. The Office of the Special Prosecutor was not even swayed by the flavor of politics. He was swayed by a personal ambition to be known by people, a personal ambition like a movie star. And that's the point that we made. Today, we are seeing everything. On the touch screen later tonight, I'm going to go into the details to show you the letters that have been exchanged. Some of those letters you have not seen yet. Letters that have been exchanged between Iyoko and the special prosecutor. Now, this is what he does. He just demonstrates a crass ignorance of what he's doing. Letters are written to you as a state official. We have written a letter to him as a right to information. We are private people. We don't carry the power of state. He has ignored it. Now we are seeing that this ignoring letters is part of his arrogance, and he needs to be called to order. Kisi Ajabin needs to be called to order for the arrogance that he displays by refusing to respond to letters, both from ordinary people like us and also from important people like the Iyoko. Iyoko writes a letter to him and he ignores it. That you are investigating somebody. You carried a charade of video and everything over there. And then you said you don't want, Iyoko writes to you that provide evidence against Cecilia Dapa. Says it doesn't. Let's not, we're going to spend a lot of time on that matter today. It's 23 minutes past 9. Tonight we'll begin from the Western region where a lot is happening. A whole lot is happening in the Western region. We're going to begin there. But just as I was walking into the studio, I saw a video. And the video said, Medical has recorded a diss song. Sorry, I'm old, so I don't know those terms very well. But he says Medical has recorded a diss song against somebody, some matter. that's not what is important to us. What's important to us is that Shatta Wale is in London, and together with Medical, they're going to be staging a concert at the O2 Arena. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there. They didn't ask me to come. They didn't buy my tickets. Shatta Wale didn't buy my tickets to come to London to see him. So I'm not there. I'm going to be here serving my viewers on Good Evening Ghana, which is my most important job and the job that I enjoy doing the most. My top priority is to serve our viewers here on Good Evening Ghana with information, entertainment, and also education about politics, current affairs, sports, business, anything that's in the news. So I'm not so worried that I couldn't be there, but I would have liked to be there nonetheless. Just to say good luck to our friend Shatta Wale, who is supporting Medical to do a concert in London. As we were talking about it, one of the guys said, this Shatta video is very interesting. We can put it out and use that just to link that to him and to tell him that we are with you, bro. We are with you. Badman, we support you for the concert. This is for you, Badman. This is for you. This is your God thing. It's very inspiring. Shatta Wale, I mean, when we were in secondary school, we used to have believers and unbelievers. You are the perfect unbeliever. You know, everything you do is the perfect unbeliever. It's the guy who is going to hell. That's Shatta Wale. And here you are talking about God.
Yeah.
Explain to me, are you born again?
Yeah, you know, that is mankind. That's how mankind sees like things, you know, but God doesn't see us like that, you know. God has his perfect picture. God has the way he sees his people, you know. For instance, when you check in the olden days, John the Baptist, you know, was, you know, we already was a Rastafarian.
Yeah, it was a Rastafarian.
Yeah, some way, you know, he dressed somehow. But I always tell people that God, you know, always sees his children in a different way. You understand me? I'm a full Christian. I've given my life to God, and I've faced a whole lot of challenges in life that I feel that God has revealed a certain picture to me that I should, you know, mention his name everywhere I go. You know, because I have a covenant with him. You know, I told God.
But do you do God things?
Every time.
Like what?
Like pray, help the needy.
But you smoke, you drink, you like women.
You see those things? Those are the things God doesn't watch.
God doesn't watch.
I don't smoke weed.
Well, okay, whatever you smoke.
I don't drink too much alcohol.
So what's your favorite book in the Bible then?
I have a couple of them, but like.
You can't remember.
Psalm 32 verse 8 is what I really...
You like it? Yeah. You like the Psalms?
Yeah, I like the Psalms. You know, like, you know, in 32 verse 8 says, I will instruct you and teach you the way you should go. I shall guide you with my eye. And that is God. You know, and I feel I've been guided by him for days now. You know, like, for instance, when you also read, like, the Philippians 4 verse 19. Those are my favorite scriptures.
Philippians 4:19 says what?
My God shall supply all my needs according to riches and glory in Christ.
Oh, I'm impressed. You know that?
Yeah. You know, I'm very closer to my Bible. Like, my Bible is my best friend. You know, when I want to get a girl, like, you know, slim girl, I talk to the Bible, tell him this trip, like next month I want a slim girl, and the Bible provides it. It's magic. When I want money, like, my Bible is where I save my dollars into. So when I want to see dollars the next 3 months, I pray for dollars and it comes.
It comes. Have a Bible. Do you pay your tithes to any church or any pastor?
Oh, I pay my tithes on the streets.
On the street?
Yes.
Okay, so when you make your 300,000, there's a percentage that goes to tithe.
Yes.
All the time.
Like, if I get a show, I make sure, like, I use like maybe 10,000 Ghana cedi, you know, on the streets. Like, you know, anywhere I go, I find this, you know, boys on the street selling. You know, I dash them. Some of them, you know, they have petty businesses that they do. I ask them how much they take, you know, or how much they get from this business, and I give them money, like, to, you know, re-boost their business.
Who's your favorite pastor?
For now, I wouldn't say I have a favorite pastor, but I have a couple of, like, pastors that I really admire so much, like, you know, Duncan Williams, you know, because that's why I started going to church. You know, I loved his spirit. You know, he's so confident. You know, that's why I learned most of that, you know, confidence from. Apart from that, you know, Obinim is also
Obinim.
Yeah,
he's your guy.
He's been advising me a lot. You know, praying with me. Reverend Obofor the same. You know, I talk to. So these are the three people that, and I love Mensa Otabil as well. You know, because sometimes when I want to hear some positive teachings about life too, I really watch him on YouTube.
Only Shatta Wale can have mentors in Duncan Williams, Otabil, and also Obinim and Reverend Obofor. Okay, but that's to remind you that say a prayer for Shatta. He's flying the Ghanaian flag at the O2 Arena. I believe it's this weekend. Is it this weekend? Yes, he's flying the Ghanaian flag at the O2 Arena this weekend, all the way in London, together with Medical. Hopefully they'll have a big show. They'll fill it up. We always talk about Davido and Wizkid. I've gone to O2 Arena. This time is the red, gold, green. The green, white, green has done it, but this time is the red, gold, green. Shatta Wale and Medical, big up to you. Ghana is with you. I hear Kojo Sheldon is there as well. And he's also going to see the concert. So all of our people should have gone. And Shatta Wale, next time, buy tickets for everybody. You say you have money. Shatta has money. Next time, buy tickets for all the bloggers, everybody, the Joy FM news editor, Hits FM, Andy Dusty. Shatta Wale should have bought a ticket for Andy Dusty to go. What? Andy Dusty will be sitting here tomorrow doing that, his program on Joy FM, the evening one. There's a nice program. I've forgotten the title, but it's a very good program where he looks at music that has been connected by the rhythms and all of that. Very interesting. So, Shatta Wale, you should have had Andy Dusty there, please. It's very important. Next time, get all the bloggers. Whatever it is, the red, gold, green will be flying at London's O2 Arena. Let's hope that it's successful. And those of you who are watching me on social media who are in London, please make your way there. Hold your miniature red, gold, green flag. Put Dr. Bawumia's picture on it in the front and John Mohammed's picture at the back, and then fly it at the O2 Arena. For Ghana, for Shatta Wale and Medical. We wish them well. Okay, let's get to our business for today. Yes. Okay, we begin, before we get to Kwesi Agyabeng, the most troublesome state official in Ghana. The most troublesome state official in Ghana is called Mr. Kwesi Agyabeng. He's the special prosecutor leading the office of the special prosecutor. But we begin our story from Takoradi. And this is a great story. It's a fantastic story. Not just a story about Dr. Bawumia or about the NPP. It's a story about African governments and how they are becoming responsible. Many years ago, this was not going to be possible. If disaster happens and people are dead or something happens, circle water, we just see politicians come there and talk about what they would do. Never do we see them do anything. Remember, those of us who are in my generation, my age, you remember Akoto Lante? You know, when we were in Presec, we used to sing songs about the Akoto Lante disaster. Those, for some people, may not remember. But the Akoto Lante disaster happened sometime in the 80s. We were in Form 1, Form 2, and children who were crossing a bridge or something, the bridge just collapsed and they all died in the water. It was a terrible disaster, you know. Then the politicians went there as usual and said that they will change the bridge, they will do that. Sometimes it happens, often it doesn't happen. So when the Apiati disaster occurred, and our politicians went there, Minister for Land, Samuel Abu Jinapor, Vice President, Mahamadou Bawumia, even President Akufo-Addo, Chief of Staff, Minister for Defense, Dominic Nitiwul, they all went to Apiati and they all made promises. It was to be forgotten because that is how politicians are. They just come there, touch the people, take advantage, give them some small water, give them Coca-Cola or something, and then that's it. So people had even forgotten that the government had gone to Apiati and promised that they were going to do something new in Apiati. Everyone had forgotten. Today, after 3, 4, 5 years of the promise being delivered, especially by the lands minister, see what the government has done in Apiati. It's a small, tiny village in the Huni Valley area, Western region. It's in the constituency of the deputy minister for lands. I will get his name very soon. The deputy minister, very hardworking deputy minister for lands. And that time I was talking to him about Apiati, and he was telling me that this Apiati thing is going to be a total disaster because in 2020, he was one of the few survivors who survived the tsunami against the NPP in the Western region. He told me that he won by just a slim margin. And if this Apiati thing is not solved, he's in trouble. And I told him that, well, you are the deputy minister. You have to deal with it. He said, oh, he's confident that his minister is focused on dealing with this matter. So today, the government delivered what they promised to the people of Apiati. Have a look.
It led to a huge explosion which claimed 13 lives in southern Ghana.
Dozens of homes were destroyed in this village near the town of Bogoso.
This very tragic incident which happened in Apiati when there was an explosion in the community which literally wiped the whole community out. The situation then called for immediate, swift action. The president at the time dispatched the vice president, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, to visit the site and the scene and to ascertain for himself what was the state of affairs at that place. The government then had to move in very quickly to put in relief measures to bring some temporary relief to the residents of Apiati. I think by and large, the first phase of it was contained. And then we then had to come in, as in the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the permanent resettlement of the people of Apieti. And on this occasion, let me commend and applaud highly Dr. Joyce Ayi, a senior stateswoman, who dedicated so much time and effort in helping the ministry to raise the necessary funding to rebuild this community. And through Dr. Joyce Ayi, we were able to raise the needed funds to be able to rebuild the Apieti community.
We, the members of the committee, decided not to take any allowance at all, but rather we would also directly contribute to the fund. So far, so good. We are grateful for the privilege of being asked to raise the funds and to disburse the funds. There's still a lot of work to do. By the grace of God, so far we've been able to release funds as the need has arisen.
I then constituted a redevelopment committee chaired by Honorable Benito Usibio with very high-ranking professionals in our country as members, and they went to work.
We started by engaging the services of a consultant through procurement processes, and after which we also engaged services of construction companies. Bearing in mind the President's charge to us that it must be a model town and that it should conform to all the environmental and green concepts.
I served on the Apiasi Reconstruction Implementation Committee, to give architectural support. We were very interested in several things that would constitute part of the green technology, especially the microclimatic concerns. We were looking at the materials that would be used in construction, the design of the building, what methods you could use to harvest rainwater, such that no matter which way it faced, by using indentations in the building and wide overhangs, you'll be able to cut down on the solar gain, which has an indirect impact on the energy of the buildings.
Mebo Abaina Baso say reconstruction team na or the ma say omuzi si Apieti. Omaya de Mebo Mama Baso. You see Apieti no abeye fufuro kra amaye. Bi esi ho no ma obewu say aban no ayade.
Na me anyimini sa atwianta me ato Apieti fu. Yekwo ha mu papa nanso nyoma mpanyina adaworoma asem ni si wo ba abobo ahen sanya wana nka bi adameta me mponya nyina ye ntete ase ebinum fim nso hia no ma ye pepia no wa hwanya bedu dameta me ye do ma mpanyina ase wo na adoye kase a wa ye den wa ye oda ma hen na odi otode so sisi ale ye hunde hia dan na oseye no wa ye no fefe.
I should say this, that in all humility and modesty, I feel very proud that government and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources have been able to rebuild this community and build it into a modern rural community with all the amenities, market, sanitary facilities, water, electricity, roads, playgrounds. It's a beautiful, modern Ghanaian rural community.
We like the leadership of His Excellency the President and the leadership and implementation spirit of our Minister, Honorable Abujinapo, who has really driven this with a passion that comes from a young man and has made sure that all of us are on our toes to make sure we do the right thing.
All right, so you saw that. This is what I've been talking about. Congratulations to all of them. And in doing so, do you know what they are doing? They are giving politicians a good name. In doing so, the present crop of people, Minister for Lands, the committee led by Joyce Ayi, two deputy ministers of lands, Benito and Mrekuduka. Mrekuduka is the name I was looking for. He's a member of parliament for the area. And he was very worried that if this doesn't resolve, it will make his chances, to blur his chances of winning. Now, we know that Meku Duka will be re-elected by the people, because any people that you do this for, they are objective. They will re-elect Meku Duka. There's no doubt about it. And I believe that Dr. Bawumia will win there as well because of this. And other people in other communities who are watching are seeing that this is a government that's responsible. What is that doing? It's giving politicians a good name. And I've always made that controversial point on this program. Before Akufo-Addo came to implement free SHS, politicians couldn't promise anything, because anything they promised, they didn't do it. And we've heard that historically. We've heard that the Jada is not the first person to talk about the sea going to Kumasi. In 1992, there was campaign against the NPP that if they were to win, they would take the sea to Kumasi. Those of you who were not born at that time, you will know. But that's the kind of campaign that has been waged. People have said, Kobedu and Co have said they'll build a railway line from here to London. And everything that politicians had promised sounded very ridiculous. So when Akufo-Addo promised free SHS, it sounded ridiculous. The reason why John Mahama can promise today is because Akufo-Addo promised and he implemented it. He's giving politicians a good name, because they had a very bad name of promising and failing. Akufo-Addo said, I will do free SHS, and he has done it. So now people are able to say, in fact, in the last election, John Mahama said he would do free university. And he's able to say that for people to believe it, because Akufo-Addo has changed the mark that people give politicians over their promise. This is another one. The government went to a disaster zone, said that we're going to build this into a new city. We'll build green roads, we'll build facilities for children to play. We're going to build a market. Everybody thought that is as usual. Politicians are talking. Now here we are. We have seen the implementation of it. And I'm very happy about this, because it is beginning to give politics a good name. Because politics has suffered a very bad name, especially in this country, because of the people who have implemented the decisions. Today, we are seeing a new group of politicians who are saying that I will do free SHS, and they do it. Who sit down in a disaster occurs in Apiati. No, the disaster is not the fault of government. Some tanker was exploding. It exploded, and it had broken some of the rules of EPA. Nevertheless, the disaster came. The politicians took responsibility that these are our people. We have been elected into power. What do? We are going to build it. And today they have built it. That is a feather in the cap of politicians. I expect to hear John Dramani Mahama, the candidate of the NDC, to say something about this, not for MPP, but for the people of Apiati, and tell them that, yes, this is good. This is good for the people of Apiati. This is how governance ought to be. Dr. Bawumia is also in the Western region, and I'm telling you, this election is going to be a brutal election. This election is not over at all. Some people think it's over. In fact, Asiedu Nketia told us that among NDC people, they think it is over. And they are already sharing, as he put it, meat. They are already sharing posts. That's what Asiedu Nketia told us. That some people say they are king makers, and they are doing it. And some people are sharing. That's what some people think, that the election is over, but it's not over. If you look at what happened in the Western region, Dr. Bawumia's support that he was able to garner in the Western region, I don't know whether he's going to be able to sustain it or not. But what he did in the Western region indicates that the guy is very, very popular. Have a look at this montage. Dr. Bawumia in the Western region. Have a look. Okay, all right. So you heard that about, that was Dr. Bawumia. Now, these are very interesting pictures, aren't they? And Dr. Bawumia has begun his campaign in the Western region. Yeah, I like these photos. Let's just run through some of them. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. This is the one that introduced the montage. A very interesting photograph. These are the boys. What are they chanting about? Okay, they seem quite excited about. There were also indoor meetings where I think Dr. Bawumia here is meeting the Muslim community, I believe. He's meeting the Muslim community in Takoradi, and he's trying to galvanize. This is the member of parliament, I believe, for Kwesi team. And Dr. Bawumia is lifting up his hands. Here they gave him something. I'm not sure what they did, but they gave him something. And these will be the Muslim leaders in the community. And he's going to them and engaging. Oh, they are taking close-up pictures. Very, very close-up pictures. Okay, this is politicians interacting and engaging with people on the ground as we approach election. The campaign is just about to get into the heated part. The heated part of the campaign will be between July and August and September, and then October and November will be the home stretch. And we are all together very, very ready for that. We'll be shifting our program into the hinterlands and going around to do some political programming. Very, very soon, as we did in 2016 and 2020, we'll be repeating it again. Voices of Political Campaign, we call it. So that's Dr. Bawumia. He was in the Western region. We'll continue to keep an eye on his movement when when he goes elsewhere. We're also keeping an eye on John Dramani Mahama and Jena Nopoko-Agyeman. Dr. Bawumia is here to announce his running mate, isn't he? And so when he does, we will look at that aspect as well. I don't want to say anything about it. I know Asase Radio has been doing a poll. I've been enjoying the analysis from the Asase Radio poll. We'll see what happens when Dr. Bawumia nominates his running mate. Okay, let's get to the first political story for the evening. And it's about the Attorney General's letter. The letter from the Attorney General's office that has been written out to Iyoko, actually. And the letter talks about Kissi Agyabeng. Now, it's important that we set this in proper context because sometimes when I do narratives on Kissi Agyabeng, a few people assume that it's personal. They meet me in the street and they ask me and I said, how personal can it be? This is a matter of state, okay? I said he's the most troublesome state official, Kissi Agyabeng is. When the Cecilia Dapaah matter came up, I like this shot so people can see the whole screen. When the Cecilia Dapaah matter came up, what's the background to the story? Cecilia Dapaah is a minister for sanitation. She's been a minister since Kufuor's era. This is not the first time she's been minister from 2001 to 2008. She was minister again for aviation from 2016 to 2020. And somewhere along the line, she was changed in 2019 also to sanitation, and she continued from sanitation in 21. So this is in 2022 or something like that. Now, this is a person who's been a minister in the early 2000s, 8 years, no investigations found anything corrupt about her. She's been a minister again in the second section, no investigations found anything corrupt about her. She's been an opposition member of parliament in parliament, twice representing the Bantama constituency. No investigation found found corruption against her. In the circumstances, anyone would have imagined that this minister has a lot of innocent until proven guilty quotient, even if the law doesn't say that, because it's a person who has been in public office for a long time. And she's left public office, been scrutinized by her opponents who were in public office. They didn't find anything against her. She's come back to public office. She's gone to political vetting in parliament 3 or 4 times. Nothing about corruption was said about her. And so when there's an allegation of corruption, it stands to reason that the assumption should be that for this particular individual, given her profile, she must be innocent until proven guilty. Even if it's not in the law. Now we have it actually in the law that all Ghanaians are innocent until proven guilty. These days we have social media, which is an additional part of our lives, which is great. It has its advantages, many advantages, and a few disadvantages, but we take the advantage. We all like it. Social media is good, and I believe it has come to stay. So social media then went agog with the story. The story came in the Ghanaian Chronicle that there's a prosecution in court that Ghanaians ought to know about. And the Ghanaian Chronicle was right. Ghanaians ought to know about, isn't it? Now, the Ghanaian Chronicle said this prosecution in court is about a minister, Cecilia Dapaah, who is prosecuting her staff, domestic staff, for stealing $1 million United States dollars in her home. So the questions arose. Why does she have $1 million in her home? Why is it not in a bank? And then immediately they said that she has stolen the money. That's why it's in her home. And then we came here and said, you can't say that. Now, sometimes we have to sacrifice these things and get the flag just so that we build the principles that are important for our 1992 constitution. That is the sacrifice that we have decided to do. It doesn't matter how we do it or who says what. It's not important. We are going to continue to insist that all the articles of the 1992 constitution must be obeyed. Whether it is Rawlings, whether it is Kufuor, whether it's Mills or Akufo-Addo, all the expressions delivered by the people of Ghana in that 1992 constitution, 296 articles and several sections thereof, must be obeyed, especially if it is about the right of a Ghanaian. This is the battle that was fought by everyone. This is the battle that every Ghanaian participated. This is the battle that Rawlings and his henchmen lost in 1992 and allowed the 1992 constitution. They were not willing to allow the constitution, but the force of the argument for democratic rule was so significant that they couldn't say no. So that's where we are coming from. Why do we come this long journey and then we come and bastardize the constitutional articles on the altar of politics just so that somebody who is politically blue must sink? So we are all happy that we don't wait for the trial process. We say Cecilia Dapaah is a thief. We decided on this program that we will not allow that because it is wrong. It was wrong then, it is wrong now, and it will always be wrong. Now, who was the key protagonist and facilitator of this? This man here, Kissi Agyabeng. He was the most irresponsible facilitator of the violation of the law, first of all, the autem patem, and of innocent until proven guilty. And he's a lawyer. He's a criminal lawyer, criminal expert lawyer. And he was the biggest violator of that principle. Today, he stands disgraced because the Attorney General's people, lawyers at Attorney, not the Attorney General himself, the letter was not signed by Godfrey Dame. Lawyers at the Attorney General, who are critical lawyers, have put him in disgrace to show that everything he did, he probably was doing it as people allege, that he was drunk. That's what people are alleging, that Kisi Ajabe was drunk. I don't know whether he was drunk or not, but that's the allegation. They say he was drunk. And he's the most critical violator of the rights of people. The one who is Office of Special Prosecutor. He himself is perpetrating corruption by not responding to our RTI request. That where did he buy his cars from? He didn't go to public procurement. And by the way, tell him that the soldiers in his office have told me that the cars have come to park at the basement. Tell him, those of you know, tell him that the soldiers in his office, they've told me that the cars that we are looking for, that we think he has stolen, those cars have been parked. Just last week, they came to park them at his basement. The soldiers told me, tell him that I have a better relationship with soldiers than he can ever have. Tell him that I have a better relationship with soldiers than he can ever have. So the soldiers have told me that the cars have come. So we are on it. We'll get there. Skip that one. Let me deal with this one. So since this Kisi Ajabe here violates the principle, as people are talking about Cecilia Dapaah is a thief without any basis. The basis being that $1 million have been found in her house and some people have stolen it and she herself stole it. So why is he complaining that people have stolen it? The thief steals thief man. We're making all of these allegations. We can say that and laugh about it. But if you were there in the 80s and you saw what the revolutions did, you will cherish every article of a 1992 constitution. If you are one of those whose parents were captured in their home without trial, Kwesi Pratt had a number, 216 people vanished. All these 260 people were prominent people. All of them had families. They vanished. So if you understand some of these stories, you will treasure the provisions of the 1992 Constitution. And this man sits here, violates it so that he becomes a hero. Now, look at the video. He goes to Cecilia Dapaah's house. Then, with all his video entourage, and have a look at the video. Have a look at it. This is it. Have a look. That's Kisi Ajabe arriving in Cecilia Dapaah's home. At the gate. Arriving in Cecilia Dapaah's home, showing this on TV. This is City TV, whose cameras were invited by Kisi Ajabe, told them, Joy FM was there too, told them that I'm going to Cecilia Dapaah's house, so come with me. This is what he showed to Ghanaians on social media and on public television. His purported arrest of Cecilia Dapaah. This is Kisi Ajabe's car entourage driving out of Cecilia Dapaah's house. According to Kisi Ajabe, he conducted a search for 5 hours. According to him, he found more money in Cecilia Dapaah's house. All of those lies that he perpetrated against Cecilia Dapaah, not because he doesn't like Cecilia Dapaah, but just because he wanted to be part of the social media story. One who has sworn an oath of secrecy and an oath of public office, all the oaths that have been laid out in the 1992 Constitution, Kisi Ajabe swore them at his inauguration. One whose appointment, he's not a minister, but his appointment required parliamentary approval. That should have told him something. That appointment that requires parliamentary approval means that it is for very matured people, not people who think like 17-year-olds. An appointment that requires parliamentary approval, that is not an appointment under Article 78 or 79, should indicate to anyone that this kind of appointment, it requires people with a deep thoughts, people with serious thinking, people who are sober, not people who drink alcohol every evening. No. Article 78 and 79 appointees, if you read the Bible, they talk about polygamy. They say that a man who wants to be an elder of the church cannot have 2 wives. He cannot be drunken with wine. A man who wants to be an elder of the church. So if you want to be an elder of the state, such that your appointment requires parliamentary approval, you cannot be a drunkard. You cannot be a drunkard. You cannot be a drunkard every day you are drinking whiskey and then you are holding an appointment which requires parliamentary approval. It's wrong. Some of these things must be said so that we protect the state called Ghana. It's not ourselves. If I know that I cannot handle an Article 79 appointment, I will not take an Article 79 appointment. If I know that many lawyers don't want to be judges because they cannot handle the lifestyle of judges. There are lawyers who are very brilliant. They've been called that, Charlie, come to the bench. Say, hey, I can't come to the bench. Please, me, Sundays, I like my Omutu. I want to go to Accra Sports Stadium, sit there where it has to folk people and shout, I don't want to be a Supreme Court judge. Please, I beg you. Because the standards of being a Supreme Court judge are higher. It's not simple. The standards of being a Supreme Court judge is not simple. The standards of being a special prosecutor is not to be on social media and to ingratiate yourself with some videos and all of those things. But the irresponsible Kisi Ajabe, that's what he does. The totally irresponsible, incorrigible, and very irresponsible special prosecutor, that's what he does. Today, the chickens have come home to roost. Let's go to the documentation. Let's begin with the special prosecutor's letter indicating to the general public that he's unable to proceed with the Cecilia Dapaah prosecution. Let's have a look. I'll read through it very quickly. And this was in January 2024. And it's written by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. It says, Office of Special Prosecutor discontinues court case involving Cecilia Dapaah, etc., etc. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has officially transferred the investigation into the financial affairs and assets of former Minister of Sanitation, Cecilia Abena Dapaah, along with her associates to EOCO. After nearly 7 months of extensive investigation by the OSP and a parallel inquiry by the Federal Bureau of Investigations of the United States, that is also something we must deal with. No direct and immediate evidence of corruption has been found in the seized funds and frozen bank accounts linked to Cecilia Dapaah. Can you imagine this? Can you imagine this? This is what he said. After all the charade, after all the showboating, after all the pomp and everything that he showed to show that he is anti-corruption, that he, Kissi Agyabeng, the most irresponsible government official, I call him. Kissi Agyabeng is the most irresponsible government official. Him. In fact, it's not government, state. Kissi Agyabeng is the most irresponsible state official. The most irresponsible state official in Ghana. The most irresponsible state official in the Fourth Republic. I'm writing a book. I'll put it inside. That the second special prosecutor was the most irresponsible of all the state appointments guaranteed under the 1992 Constitution and approved by Parliament. He, Kissi Agyabeng, the most irresponsible of all of them. He, after doing all of that, he comes to say that he has submitted the inquiry because there is no direct and immediate evidence of corruption that has been found. So you went around showing videos and indicating to people, just by looking at it, just by a cursory assessment of what Kissi Agyabeng was doing, he was signaling to people that Cecilia Dapaah was corrupt and that Cecilia Dapaah had stolen $1 million and that the $1 million found in her house was stolen. He proceeded to seize the cash. He proceeded to seize her bank account. Cecilia Dapaah went to court. A court said, you cannot seize the bank accounts without an application, without the proper processes. He said, okay, I release the thing. Cecilia Dapaah, come for your money. Gives the money to her. Then 2 minutes, they say, I've seized it again. Just 2 minutes later, he says, I've seized it again. That's what Kissi Agyabeng does. That's what he does. And that's why I say he's the most irresponsible state official. This occasioned an invitation by the justices of the Superior Court of Judicature, the Judicial Council. They called him. That one he didn't publish. They called him and sat with him and said, look, you cannot do that. You cannot do that as a special prosecutor. You are embarrassing the system. You are embarrassing the judicial system. You are embarrassing the court system. That's what they told him, that he should go back there and do his investigations correctly. Some of the judges were so unhappy that they didn't even attend that meeting because he went to hold a press conference and said judges are against him. Every judge is against him. This is the kind of 17-year-old mind that he uses to do the work. Kissi Agyabeng. So he comes back and says, no, what does he say? United States, no direct and immediate evidence of corruption has been found in the seized funds. No direct and immediate evidence of corruption. That's all he has to say. After holding press conference and quoting account proverbs about how bad he's being treated, about how he's looking for corruption money, when it's alleged that he himself is the most corrupt person in the whole Ghana, it is alleged that he collects money from people to write reports. It is alleged that in his office, he alone decides whether a matter should be prosecuted or not. He and Sami Darko, the two of them sit down and decide whether a matter should be prosecuted or not prosecuted. The other officers, the other people there, he doesn't mind them. He himself is alleged that he's the most corrupt individual in Ghana. And then he talks about an account proverb that he is trying to fight corruption. Yeah, he is totally disgraced today by a letter from the Attorney General's office. Let's go on and see what they said. He says that he didn't find... He investigated. He brought the American FBI to investigate. And between him and the FBI, they didn't find anything against Cecilia Dapaah. Can you even imagine that this was possible? Did you imagine that this was possible on the day that he took the cars and drove and called all the media that he's going to Cecilia Dapaah's house? When he came and sheepishly told the media that he has done 5 hours of money counting. This what Kissi Agyabeng said. That he was in Cecilia Dapaah's house for 5 hours counting money. Not that we support Cecilia Dapaah, not that we don't support Cecilia Dapaah, not that we are against Kissi Agyabeng, not that we are not against him, but we are doing fidelity to the provisions of the 1992 Constitution, particularly Chapter 5, the ones that guarantee the rights of Ghanaians. Because Ghanaian rights have suffered since 1966, all the way to 1992. And then somebody like Kissi Agyabeng comes to just bastardize it and adds to the fury. That's what we are about. We are not in support of Cecilia Dapaah. We are not against Cecilia Dapaah. We are not in support of Kissi Agyabeng. We are not against Kissi Agyabeng. We are to respect the provisions of the 1992 Constitution, particularly Chapter 5, that guarantees the rights of Ghanaians, because this is what people fought for. This is what people died for. And this guy here, the most irresponsible state official, cannot add to the problem. And that's why we're worried. So people thought that, oh, you are supporting everything that is evil. You are supporting everything. What is evil? Yes, money was in Ladapa's house. What is the source of the money? Kisia Jabin helped the people to say it was stolen. Then he comes around to say that after spending taxpayers' money to go and bring the American FBI, why does he need to bring American FBI? Why? Because he wants to pretend that he's not corrupt. We will catch him. Don't worry. We'll catch him. We are getting there because the Lord is on our side. You see, the Lord is on our side. This is our work. The Lord is on our side. So we will catch him. We will expose him. If it is true that he's a drunkard, we will expose him. But we don't know that yet. But people say that he's a drunkard. I see him. I don't see him drunk. But they say he's a drunkard. Okay. So he brings in American FBI. OSP can't do it. There are a lot of lawyers at the Attorney General. He doesn't consult them. There are a lot of lawyers at the General Legal Council. He doesn't consult them. He doesn't consult the Ghana Bar Association so that he gets some lawyers to help him. He decides to spend your money, my money, and that's why his budgets are always so huge, to go and bring American FBI. Then he says that after the American FBI came in, together with him, they did not find any direct and immediate evidence of corruption against Cecilia Dapaah and her associates. Can you imagine that? Okay. The investigations has identified strong indications of suspected money laundering and structuring. While OSP acknowledges these suspected offenses, they do not fall directly within the mandate of the office. By law, the office cannot investigate, prosecute, nor recover proceeds of crime except those that fall within the corruption and corruption-related offenses. In compliance with Section 3 of Act 595, which mandates the OSP to cooperate and coordinate with other law enforcement agencies, the case has been transferred to Yoko for further investigation. Okay, now he talks about the account. Kisia Jabin says that he cannot investigate money laundering. In terms of corruption and corruption-related offenses, he and the FBI have finished their investigation. There's nothing against Cecilia Dapaah. That's what he said. There's nothing against him. However, there may be money laundering. But if it's money laundering, he cannot investigate. He transfers to Yoko. Fair enough. Okay. Now, Yoko collects the transfer offer. They begin their processes. Then they write to him, asking questions about he assisting them with the work. Because you said that you have finished your work. There's no corruption or corruption-related offenses. There's none. However, he says there could be money laundering, which is okay. So he sends the document to Yoko that you are money laundering. Take care of money laundering. Yoko writes to him. Let's see the Yoko letter. Let's see the Yoko letter. They're going to put it up very soon. They'll put up the letter that Yoko wrote to him. And then we will understand when we say that he is the most difficult state official. Now, this is the Yoko letter. The Office of the Special Prosecutor. Attention, Kisia Jabin. Referral of investigation. Cecilia Abena Dapaah and Daniel Osei Kufuor. Reference, your letter dated 25th January. So when he wrote to Ghanaians on 24th January, 25th he wrote to Yoko, and your letter dated 26th. Okay. It's as follows. The Economic and Organized Crime Office, Yoko, presents its compliments to the Special Prosecutor and respectfully requests for further information on the above referenced subject. We acknowledge receipt of the docket and documents on the above subject and have commenced investigations accordingly. We would appreciate it if you could furnish us with a copy of your findings on the case to facilitate our investigations. In furtherance of the investigations, kindly provide us with the name and contact details of focal persons at the OSP to enable our investigators contact them on matters relating to the referred case. I like to read the middle. He says that we acknowledge the receipt of the docket and documents on the above subjects and have commenced investigations accordingly. We would appreciate it if you could furnish us with a copy of your findings on the case to facilitate our investigations. You see how irresponsible Kisia Jabin is? Iyoko, the state official that you and I pay, your tax, my tax, pays Iyoko people. And there are lawyers and police officers there. They wrote a letter to him that please send us the reports, whatever you did, to which you came to the conclusion that there are no corruption and anti-corruption findings against Cecilia Dapaah, but that there could be money laundering. Give us that report up to today. He has not even acknowledged this letter. That's how irresponsible Kisia Jabin is. He is irresponsible, he is crass, and he is not befitting of the office of any provision, any office created under the Constitution. Kisia Jabin, if that is his behavior, Iyoko writes to you Furnish us with the investigations, the corruption case that Ghanaians are very interested in. Ghanaians have been made to believe that their $1 million has been stolen by Cecilia Dapa, and they are investigating it. Kissi Agyabeng has gone to Cecilia Dapa's house with motorcade and cameras, drones. He and Sami Darko, another irresponsible guy, they've gone to the Cecilia Dapa's office with drones, and then they write to Yoko that, as far as we are concerned, no problem, but this guy must, money laundering may lie. They say money laundering may lie, so you can find money laundering. So Yoko says, okay, we can happy to do it. The report that you did, that led you to the conclusion that there are no corruption and anti-corruption related offenses against Cecilia Dapa. Show us the report. Till today, you know what it means? He doesn't have a report. That is how, I don't know what word to use for him. I don't know whether he's lazy, he's irresponsible, the job is bigger than his brain. He did not generate any reports. He was on his phone with Sami Darko. They are doing social media. That's all. He didn't generate a single report. Kissi Agyabeng has no report on the Cecilia Dapa matter. Please, RTI people who know RTI, write to him. I am saying that Kissi Agyabeng has, I am challenging him to produce. He has no report. And if he has no report, he should be resigning from the office. He's lazy and he's irresponsible. He's very, very lazy. Kissi Agyabeng is very lazy. And he's very irresponsible that he did not respond to Yoko's letter to help Yoko to facilitate the investigation to come to the conclusion that Cecilia Dapa has or has not stolen 1 million. He did not respond to Yoko's letter. He's lazy, he's irresponsible, and he should resign from his job. He's a lazy man, totally lazy. He does nothing. Maybe that's why they say he's drunk, because when you drink a lot of alcohol, you will be lazy. You have drunk alcohol the whole night. In the morning, you have hangover. And it's not a Saturday. It's a Tuesday. You have hangover. How are you going to do the work? Lazy man. He didn't do the work. He has no single report. And he throws in FBI. Those are Anas Arimia, Anas tactics. He throws in FBI so that you are thinking that they are doing something. They should clear off. They should clear off. And let's focus on Ghana. They want to focus on themselves. They can't. Kissi and Anas. Every day I talk about Kissi, I'll add Anas. Kissi and Anas, they are together. Lazy man. Kissi Agyabeng, lazy, irresponsible guy. Yoko writes a letter to you, you don't write it. Mr. Kwaku Baku, if you are listening, I know that they are your friends. So Kissi Agyabeng saw Yoko, he didn't respond to it. He didn't respond. Kissi Agyabeng, lazy man. Yoko wrote to him, he didn't respond. And he says, me, OSP and FBI have come to the conclusion that there's nothing against her. Yoko says, fair enough. Your conclusion, together with the FBI, he's even giving the FBI a bad name. He's drawing the name of the FBI into immorality because FBI doesn't do that. FBI, they are conducting investigations. They have a report. They will always have a report. And then they will put the report down. If Yoko asks FBI for their report, they will submit it to them. If the FBI feels that they cannot submit the report, they will write to you that, sorry, Yoko, we are unable to share this report with you for this and that reason. Kissi Agyabeng draws FBI's name in a crass behavior like that. FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigations. He draws their name into such crass behavior because he wants to put FBI's, that's Anas's tactics. Ignore those things. So this is why I say that. That's why, viewers, you now see why I've been fighting the guy. This is the kind of people who have taken an oath. Those oaths that are put in the first and second schedule of the 1992 Constitution, he's taking one of those oaths. His appointment required a parliamentary approval and therefore consideration by the Appointments Committee. He submitted himself to the Appointments Committee. Such a high-profile appointment. He sits in the office. Yoko writes to him. He doesn't respond. Yoko wrote the letter to him on what date? They were referring to a letter written on 26th January. So most likely, the letter is written to him in January. We are in May. They have released their reports. Kissi Agyabeng didn't respond. And every day he has traveled. Every day Kissi Agyabeng has traveled. And he travels to Ghanaian police. What is he doing there? Wasting time. Just, I don't want to use the word I was going to use. Anyway, so he doesn't respond. Now, yesterday, the Attorney General's letter came. Let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at the Attorney General's letter. Let's have a look at it. The Attorney General's letter. Let's put it on. Yes, this is the Attorney General's letter. It reads, okay, let me take it. Now it says, request for directions in the matter of the Republic versus Cecilia Dapa and Daniel Osei Kufuor. a referral by the special prosecutor to the Economic and Organized Crime for money laundering investigations. We refer to your letter dated 21st February 2024 requesting directions on a referral by the special prosecutor of the above-mentioned case to the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, for investigations on money laundering and structuring. You have stated in your letter that upon a review of the docket from the Office of the Special Prosecutor, it is not clear which predicate offense to posit an alleged case of money laundering by the OSP on. Now, this is a very important paragraph I need to explain. Let me read it again. It says that you have stated in your letter that upon a review of the dockets from the Office of the Special Prosecutor, it is not clear which predicate offense to posit an alleged case of money laundering on by the OSP. Now, if you were listening to Joy FM this evening, you would have heard the Attorney General in an interview with Joy FM explaining what that means. So, the laws of money laundering suggest that you do not just come up and say that I'm going to catch Nana Kwame Bediako for money laundering. No. Or you say that I'm going to catch Kofi Wayo for money laundering. No. Or you just wake up and say that I'm going to catch Ibra 1. I'm going to catch him for money laundering. No, that's not how you do it. For money laundering, you must have a predicate offense. So maybe the offense is corruption. Maybe the offense is stealing. Maybe the offense. So you are doing an investigation on X person. Then your investigation is about corruption. And then you say that, okay, for us to get the corruption, let's investigate him on money laundering. So the predicate offense will be that we have found, then you have to find it. It's not investigation. We have found corruption against this person. So if you were to go to a criminal court, though like some of those on criminal trial, and they find you for corruption, they can trigger a money laundering investigation based on the corruption for which you have been found. Now, the OSP says that he cannot deal with money laundering, but EOCO can. So the suggestion is that he may have found a predicate offense which triggers into a money laundering investigation, and he cannot continue because he is not the one mandated so to do by the laws of Ghana. So he's handing it over to the necessary organization, the necessary institution to do it. Now, the people are saying that, fair enough, if you say money laundering, it means you may have found something. Where is the predicate offense? Did you find corruption? Did you find stealing? Did you find X? So that we can proceed, therefore, to do money laundering. Why is the law like that? Viewers, the question to ask, why is the law like that? The law is like that, coming back to the point I'm making, the protection of the rights of individual Ghanaians. So that if a political party is in power, say MPP is in power, they don't like Alban Bagbin because he's NDC. They don't like Idris Haruna because he's NDC. Or they don't like Paul Adomochi because he's CPP or NDC. Then they come and say, hey, we have arrested you for money laundering. No. The law doesn't allow you to do that. Before you say you are checking somebody's money laundering offenses, you must have found a predicate offense. It is predicated on. Young people, please Google the word predicate. You see it. Those of you who are young, Google predicate. It has to be predicated on that before you can proceed. So if you come and suggest money laundering, then surely Kisia Jabin's office, the OSP's office, and the FBI should have had a predicate offense. And that's where this letter is complaining, that it is not clear which predicate offense to posit an alleged case of money laundering by the OSP. Let me move on. It says, you attach a copy of the report on your review of the OSP's dockets to your letter referred above. A study of the docket from the OSP and the reports by your office indicates as follows. A. Investigations by the OSP did not establish any evidence of corruption-related offenses, or procurement breaches against the suspect. In fact, and indeed, the OSP himself said so, that he has not found any allegations of corruption against the Venerable Cecilia Dapaah and her husband. The OSP said so himself. So that is what is repeated in paragraph A of portions of the Attorney General's letter. Let's move to B. B says, the OSP has returned money and other properties retrieved from the suspect in the course of their investigations to them, and the suspects have been accordingly discharged by the OSP. Yes, if you say that you may have found money laundering, but then money laundering is not part of your mandate, and therefore you are transferring the dockets to the relevant state organization that can look at money laundering, then you should also have transferred the seizure of the money to that organization so that it will facilitate their work. But the OSP gave the money back to Cecilia Dapaah. That suggests that the OSP didn't find any money laundering. They just wrote it. That's laziness. That's crass. And that's bad. That's immoral. That's completely immoral. Also, it suggests that the OSP has no reports. Office of Special Prosecutor, he has no reports. Onibi, report Ebeko. Onibi. He didn't generate one. He didn't write one. That is how he behaves. He's a lazy man. Okay. That's B. Let's move on. We observe, this is the Attorney General's office people speaking. We observe that the OSP did not place a copy of his report on investigations conducted by that outfit on the docket submitted to your office. OSP submitted a docket without a report because he doesn't have one. Okay. The OSP's letter to you also did not disclose the basis for the suspicion of the commission of the offense of money laundering and structuring. It is thus difficult to ascertain the basis for the OSP suspicion of the commission of the offense of money laundering and structuring by the suspect. A study of all the documents on the docket submitted by the OSP does not disclose how the offense of money laundering and structuring might have been committed, as alleged by the OSP. These documents include A. OSP's letter to your outfit by which the docket was transferred. 2. The diary of action. 3. Statements taken in the course of investigations by the OSP. 4. Letters written by the OSP to various institutions, including the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service and some banks in the country. V. Various exhibits, including documents of incorporation of entities with which the first suspect, Mrs. Cecilia Abena Dapaah, is associated. Company documents of entities owned by persons with which the first suspect, Ms. Cecilia Abena Dapaah, is associated, and contracts awarded in the tenure of the first suspect, Ms. Cecilia Abena Dapaah, as minister at the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources. The OSP indicated that in October 2023, the investigations became transboundary with the involvement of the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, of the United States of America. The office, after stating that it had conducted 7 months of extensive investigation and 4 months of collaborative investigations, concluded that the case is largely in the province of suspected money laundering and structuring. It is noted, however, that the OSP did not present a copy of the report on the collaborative investigations conducted with the FBI to your office. Neither are the findings of the transboundary investigations conducted by the OSP stated in the OSP's docket to you. We observe that by a letter dated 1st February 2024, you wrote to the OSP to furnish. So the letter I read was 1st February 2024. You wrote to the OSP to furnish you with a copy of the findings on the case to facilitate your investigations. You inform us that to date, the OSP has not responded to your request. Viewers, what shall we do about this OSP? You are Ghanaian, I'm Ghanaian. If you are British, you're also Ghanaian. If you're American, you're also Ghanaian, because all of your constitutions say the same thing that the Ghanaian constitution says. What shall we do about this OSP? You write a letter to IOCO that you and FBI have conducted some investigations. You finish the investigations. The matter is just it's a simple matter that, okay, this is it. So it's money laundering. So IOCO should take care of it. IOCO says, okay, fair enough. Please give us the report. What are the conclusions you got? And then we can take it from there. You don't even respond. You don't acknowledge their letter. You don't respond. It's that kind of irresponsible. I mean, if this happens at MTN, they'll sack the guy. If this happens at Unilever, they'll fire him. A letter comes from another department and you need to respond to facilitate their work. You don't even you don't say anything about it. Kisi Agyabeng, that's the kind of thing he's practicing at the OSP there. That's what Kisi Agyabeng is doing. That's what he's doing. Irresponsibility of the highest order, debauchery and immorality. That is their forte. Debauchery and immorality is their forte. God will forgive them. God, you will forgive them. Let's move on. We observe that by a letter date, okay, we read that already. Sections 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the Anti-Money Laundering Act create offense relating to money laundering. At the outset, it is important to indicate that the offense of structuring is not known to Ghana laws. Me too, I didn't see, I've not seen it before. At the heart of the offense of money laundering is gains obtained from criminal proceedings arising from an unlawful activity, which is defined in Section 63 of Act 1, Act 1044 to refer to the offenses specifically spelled out therein. The status of property being proceeds of crime is therefore crucial to money laundering. This is even so under Section 55(2) of Act 1044, where an accused may be presumed to have unlawfully acquired property in her possession which cannot be accounted for. In any event, it is material to note that Section 55(2) of Act 1044 is triggered only in the course of a trial of an accused person for a specified offense under the Act. In the absence of the identification of any criminality associated with the properties retrieved from the suspect, the OSP's referral to IYOCO for investigations to be conducted into money laundering is without basis. Even though as part of your mandate, you could commence investigations into the sources of the money found in the home of the suspect, we do not find this necessary, since this office, before the reference by the OSP, had instructed the police service, who are already seized with other aspects of the case, to investigate the sources of the huge sums of money found in the home of the suspect. A fact the OSP is aware of. We find from the OSP's docket marked BI a copy of the Attorney General's letter to the Director General of the CID dated 31st July 2023. In the light of the above, the OSP docket on the subject matter is returned herewith. End of story. The disgrace of Kissi Agyabeng. Total disgrace. Viewers, so this is the end of the Cecilia Dapaah matter. So you see, you look at me and I look at you. Those of us who were jubilating, you're comfort, and style, cameras were all over the place. This is the end. The one we should be catching now is Kissi Agyabeng. Let's go to his office tomorrow. That's Kissi Agyabeng, lazy man. Takes taxpayers' money and goes to China. He's in South Africa. He's here. Every day he's not in the country. Lazy. Debauchery. Your OSP is full of debauchery. That is him. Why do I say he's full of debauchery? Because he should be sitting up to respond to IYOCO's letter. A state organization has written to you. And that's what I'm saying. If this is Unilever, they will sack him. If you are head of customer service and then head of admin has written a letter to you, it's from January. Civil society, this is what you should be worried about. This is bad governance. Domilevo, where is he? This is bad governance. Have you heard it, Mr. Domilevo? Have you heard the OSP? You say you are chasing corruption. We are all chasing corruption. Have you seen the OSP's behavior? CDD, Imani, have you seen the OSP's behavior? He doesn't respond to letters from IYOCO. You will be talking about Akufo-Addo every day. This is the OSP. He is an important institution of state. Obama said, let us build institutions and let us not build strong men. This is one of the institutions that we are building to sustain and guide our democracy. And this is the guy who is debasing the institution. Civil society is quiet. Why? Because he's their friend. Why is civil society quiet about OSP's misbehavior? He's their friend, or they've gone to Roman Ridge. Civil society, I'm suggesting to you that if you have not gone to Roman Ridge, mention this man's crimes. How can IYOCO write a letter to him and then he decides that he won't respond for 4 months? If it's Unilever, they will sack him. MTN will sack him. Coca-Cola will sack him. Why should Ghana keep him? MTN will sack him for this behavior. Anybody, Barclays Bank, they will sack him. Standard Chartered Bank will sack him. You are a head of department. Another department has written a letter to you to facilitate investigations about something that the entity is concerned about. He doesn't respond. He will be fired. Unilever will fire him. Coca-Cola will fire. Everybody will fire him. But the state of Ghana should keep him. This crass ignoramus, we should keep him. Civil society is quiet because he's their friend or they've gone to Roman Ridge. Civil society, if you have not gone to Roman Ridge, come and let us hear you on OSP. Oh, what have they put there? Oh, my friend John Dramani Mahama, former president of Ghana. What did he say? He said, my government will reopen investigations into alleged acts of corruption and graft in the system. I don't want to say, you see, sometimes John Mahama is my friend. He's my boss. Sometimes, I don't want to say. I think I've said it to him himself recently, that it is about his advices. Have you noticed a trend in the John Mahama campaign? I think it's a beautiful campaign, but look at this trend. You check social media. Anytime social media is complaining about something, John Mahama's campaign comes and says, we will solve the problem. Once social media complains, it's raining too much. Then John Mahama will come in within 1 hour, within 30 minutes. I think Sammy J.V. is always holding his phone. He's like me. He's always on social media. Me too, I'm always on social media. That's how I see it. If Ghanaians are complaining it's raining too much, within 5 minutes, John Mahama will come and say, and I come, the sun will shine. If Ghanaians are complaining that the sun is shining too much, Within 1 minute, oh, John Mahama's campaign will say, when I come, it will rain. Where is their original thinking? The advisors of John Mahama and the campaign. Where is the original thinking? This Cecilia Dapaah matter has been going on forever, since last year. The John Mahama campaign has not said anything about it. Eventually it ends, and then he says, oh, when I come, I will open, because they are feeling that Ghanaians are upset, and yes, everyone will be. If somebody has stolen the taxpayers $1 million, everyone will be. And they are trying to wade into that feeling, that emotional sentiment, and being populist politicians. Please, the advisors of John Mahama, please raise the bar. John Mahama is a former president. He's not me. He's a former president. Don't do this to him. The advisors of John Mahama, don't do this to John Mahama. Please, he's a former president. Raise the bar. Today, people were complaining about the advisors of Akufo-Addo giving Akufo-Addo wrong information on Dumsor. We are going to deal with that. I was also concerned. So I called them that, Chief, why is the president saying that there's no Dumsor when people are saying that who is telling him what? And I got to Herbert Krapper again. I said, ECG chairman, what is going on? So he's told me something. I'll share it. So everybody gets worried when there's a person or people around a leader giving wrong advice. I'll come to Herbert. Give me John Mahama again. I'm not done. Everybody gets worried when there's people around a leader feeding the leader with wrong information and giving him wrong advice. This is President John Dramani Mahama. He says, my government will reopen. A former president who had an attorney general. What is the basis of saying this? There are lawyers with him. There's Marietta Brew there. There's Joyce Bauer there. Why don't they take the letter of the Attorney General and say that this paragraph of the Attorney General's letter is contrary to the Criminal Offences Act, or is contrary to the Criminal Offences Procedure Act, and therefore the procedure that was adopted in the Cecilia Dapaah matter was wrong. And so when we come to power, we will have another look at it. That's the only basis that serious people will respect a narrative like that. But if you just come and put it in the name of the president, former president, that my government will reopen, on what basis? On what basis? Where are the lawyers? Where is Dominic Ayini? Where is Marietta Brew upon? Where is Joyce Bauer? Where is the guy, what's his name? Tamaklo. Where are they? Can't you put any one sentence of something legal that demonstrates that you have looked at the thing and you have found something wrong, so that the president's name is enhanced, so that the president's name is in high level respect? You just put this on the president's photograph on social media just like that. And people are looking and say, oh, but John Mahama too, why? Why is it that everything, is he doing his campaign on social media? No, I know John Mahama. He's not like that. It is these people who are misleading him into some of these things. What is this? Is that how we're going to run the campaign? No. John Mahama's advisors lifts the bar. This thing is not correct. When there's raining, don't come and put the picture of John Mahama and say that when I come, the sun will shine. When the sun is shining and people are complaining, don't come and put a picture of John Mahama and say, when I come, it will rain. There was Dumsor recently. Why didn't they put a picture of John Mahama and say, when I come, the light will be on? Why were they afraid to say that? They were afraid. I was waiting for them. In fact, according to what people are saying, criticizing the president, the Dumsor is still on. They should come and say that when John Mahama comes, there will be no light off. They should come and say it. And let's see. They should come. We are fighting a campaign, aren't they? They should come and put it there. You raise the bar. Some of us are here. We've been here for so long. Now, I think that even just by my experience in covering elections, I've covered more elections than the people who are advising him. Because my first election was 2000. Before then, I was around. So 2000, 2004, 8, 12, 16, 20. I have understood elections. So we will not allow you to bring the bar down. Come and tell us that John Mahama will put lights on. Raise the standard. Let's engage so that the younger Ghanaians who are coming will be proud of the campaign. Stop this behavior. This is wrong. Why? Why are you embarrassing President Mahama? He's a good man. Why are you embarrassing him? Oh, please. 29 minutes to the top of the hour. We have more stories to come on there. We have the Imani work, which we'll be looking at. And then the president's Dumsor situation. We'll go to Herbert Krapper in a minute. Let's take the text messages. Today we have only 2 social media editors, and then perhaps we'll take a commercial break, and then we'll look at it afterwards. Let me just carry my paper and sit here. Sorry, viewers. I walked out of the camera. Sorry. I'm here. I've not gone anywhere. Okay. Who should I start with? Sarah, what are people saying?
This is what people are saying. From Lily Will, she says, this was so sad. Oh my God. God bless Nana Bawumia. And coming from Nanos, he says the NPP government has bold solutions to Ghana's developmental problems. Also from Lily, she says Dr. Joyce Ayi has been very supportive to state activities. We need to celebrate her. Ya Papabi says Apiati is the new posh village in Ghana, a blessing in disguise, and RIP to those who lost their lives. Coming from General L. Coleman, he says SP should know that intelligence gather is always key to successful investigation. When you allow your emotions to media prosecution, you will see your smoothness level in court. He must pay for defamation to Anti-CC and apologize to Ghanaians for misconducting himself and his office. Coming from Isaac, he says other state institutions with similar mandates should have been fully and properly resourced to do the OSP job. From Angel Michael, he says that office should be abolished as soon as possible. That OSP office is just wasting our money. And lastly, from Rebecca, she says, if Special Prosecutor Kisi Ajabin feels he cannot do the job assigned to him, he should resign. From our sponsor, Blue Jeans Energy Drink. Blue Jeans Energy Drink has been on the Ghanaian market for over 20 years. We already know what it does for the body. It contains vitamins and nutrients like vitamin B2, B3, B6, B12, as well as taurine and guarana, which are known to boost your strength and energy, as well as promote high performance and endurance. Blue Jeans Energy Drink has been tested and tried. It is indeed the best. Blue Jeans Energy Drink is for bold and active men and women. So go on, grab a cold can, and power your day. It's in shops nationwide. For bulk purchases, contact Budget Cash and Carry Limited on 0208 128 190, 0208 128 190, or 055 001 0000, 055 001 0000. What do you have for us, Angelo?
Okay, K. Greener says that he's in California, but he's moving to Apiati after seeing what has happened there. He says he's jealous of their houses. We also have Bennett Dansu say good evening. Paul and T. What happened at Apiati was very unfortunate and a devastating one, and one would have wished that explosion had not happened. But I'm someone who also believes that sometimes things like that happen in order to give way for something new to happen. Kudos to the many Ghanaians who supported the government's efforts to rebuild that particular township into a more modern village setting. God bless the president for igniting such a vision. Now we've also got, okay, I'll come back to this. Nana Ekuyama says, kudos to the government for rebuilding the Apati community. Very special greetings to Madam Nana Tima Boache. Junior Akbar says, for me, actually, I strongly believe that the special prosecutor can never be serious and will never be serious. I don't understand what our president is seeing in this man, who is willing to divide us for selfish interests. It's high time the president fires this special prosecutor. If not that, he will continue to cause problems in this country. Now, lastly, this fiery exchange that was happening on the live feed between Agnes and some people. I'll go through it briefly. So Agnes says, so you find nothing wrong with all the money that was found in her various homes. She had more money in her home than expected. The government has looted the country, and it's sad that you continue to cover them. Now, Osa Barima Kwesi comes back saying, Agnes, how much money did you expect to be found in her house? Is there a legal limit to how much money one can keep in their house in Ghana? And Boache says, which law in Ghana forbids keeping money in your house? You think the courts are like, he mentions a certain radio station, I won't repeat the name. Anyway, he continues, you go to the courts with evidence, not heresy and speculations. Having money in your house does not equate to corruption. get that. And briefly, from our friends Lifts and Elevators, you're always told to enjoy the fruits of your labor. But you see, as you grow old, aging and physical infirmity stands in the way of enjoying your mansions or homes. Now, worry no more, because with portable American, keyword American, pneumatic vacuum elevators, you are sure of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and your homes. You might call it a luxury if you want to, but the truth is, it's a necessary imperative for your vertical mobility. Please do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for your easy vertical mobility at your home, your office. It's very, very affordable and can easily be installed just like that within 3 days with modifications done to your building. Now, do visit Lifts and Elevators Ghana at Sakumono for your solutions and consultations, and call this number 0200-535-515, or just email elevatorsgh@gmail.com. And Paul, back to you.
Well, text messages seem interesting, and I like the banter that people have it. Our conversations here is not against. It's not about defending Cecilia Dapa's 1 million. That's not the point. The point we are bringing to you is the irresponsible conduct of a holder of a highly important state office, the Office of the Special Prosecutor. This is what he does. He gets a letter from Iyoko. He doesn't respond. He doesn't conduct any investigation. He doesn't have a report on Cecilia Dapa. He's just joining the social media fray and then trying to present himself as a sort of messiah of an anti-corruption situation. But he's doing that just to position himself so that he may be corruptible. That's our allegation. That's what he's doing. That's what it appears. That's what with the benefit of hindsight, we are now more confident to say that than before. Because the Iyoko wrote a letter to him. He's paid by the taxpayer to respond to such letters. Part of Kisi Ajabin's remit as a special prosecutor, being paid by the taxpayer, is to respond to such letters. He doesn't respond. He doesn't. And he's left with Iyoko with no other option than to close the docket of the investigation. Because he said he's brought in FBI at the expense of the taxpayer to be able to do some investigation. Both he and FBI could not generate a report after 7 months of investigation and 4 months of another cross-boundary investigation. 7 months of local, 4 months of cross-boundary, altogether 11 months. Kisi Ajabin and the FBI were unable to generate a report. They couldn't generate a report. This is the point we have been making. So he goes to Cecilia Dapa's house with all that charade, with all the people following him, showing himself on media that he's going to arrest somebody. The reason why we are doing this is because we want to protect what many Ghanaians fought for. Article Chapter 5 of the 1992 Constitution, the right of individuals, so that people cannot use power, the abuse of power, and the arrogance of power to trample on the rights of individual Ghanaians. This is why many Ghanaians who were born before us, this is why some of them went on demonstrations and were shot with bullets. Kwesi Pratt, some of the living legends, Kweku Bako and co. They went to criminal libel jail. Harun Atta. This is the reason why they went to the jail. Because they wanted to lay a foundation for the respect of individual Ghanaian rights. Whether he's a politician, whether he's your political opponent, whether he's your political friend, whether he's a chief, whether he's anything, every Ghanaian has the right to all the things enshrined in Chapter 5 of the Constitution, including innocent until proven guilty. Kisi Ajabin led people to believe that Cecilia Dapa has stolen the money. Then he brings a report, says, I didn't find any corruption against Cecilia Dapa. And then on top of that, he says, I came with FBI to come and investigate. But so I am sure that Cecilia Dapa has conducted money laundering. So Iyoko, take care of it. Iyoko says, okay, we are happy to take care of it. This is the letter. Can you give us the report based on which you suspected money laundering? Until today, 5 months after, Kisi Ajabin hasn't sent the report. And I'm suggesting to you viewers that if this was MTN, they'll sack him. If you are the customer service manager of MTN and HR writes to you that we are conducting investigation, you don't respond 5 months, they'll sack you. If you are the manager at Barclays Bank and they write to you, a risk writes to you, you are the head of corporate, risk writes to you that, look, we are investigating this customer so and so. Send us the report based on which you made the suggestion, and for 5 months you don't report, they'll sack you because you are wasting shareholders' money. If Barclays Bank will sack him for this, if Standard Chartered Bank will sack him for this, if Coca-Cola will sack him for this, why should Ghana keep him? Why? Why shouldn't Ghana sack him for this? Such irresponsible, crass behavior. Anyway, let's take a short break. When we come back, we continue with the program. Imani have done something. Also, there's something happening in America. American students are charging on the streets in support of Palestine against Israel. That's heavy, isn't it? We'll talk about that when we come back from the break. It's commercial break time. Now I'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, and let's talk about something that concerns us right now. So the president, in addressing the May Day rally, May Day parade, said that the doomsday was over. And then quickly he got flack from some Ghanaians, some of them political opponents, some of them also not political at all. They're just concerned about the electricity being on. That's about it. So they said, President said that he has been told that the ECG has fully restored power, and that there will be no doomsday going forward. Then the major criticism from the president's political opponents was that he did not admit that there was doomsday at any point. The government did not admit. The energy minister did not admit. Nobody spoke about there's doomsday. When they were asked for timetable, they said they don't have timetable, etc., etc. Yeah, in your shots, the president speaking to the May Day people. Now, so I called the president's people and I said, what, I don't understand this. The president said there will be no doomsday, and there is. I asked the president's people, and that they said he was promising that there will be no doomsday anymore. So this is the explanation they gave. They said to me that the president was addressing the power outages that have occurred. And because president knows that these power outages brought into the memory of Ghanaians the John Mahama period doomsday that they suffered, president was assuring Ghanaians that don't worry about the power outages you saw. It will never reflect in the doomsday that you had, so that there will be no, that power outages has been solved. There will be no doomsday. We are not going back to that. So the president was not referring to ending something that has just started. He was referring to Ghanaians being ghost hunted by the doomsday of the day. And so when power outages become recurrent, they were beginning to fear that, are we getting back to 2013? This recurrence of the doomsday ghost that was hunting all of us is what president is saying, that exercise it in your mind. Because as far as I'm concerned, as president of this country, what you saw as power outages is all over. We are moving forward with a lot of electricity into 2024, into 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Ghana will be lighted. That's the point that he was making. So for those who are saying that you haven't admitted any doomsday, don't come to us and come and tell us there will be no doomsday. This is the explanation, and it convinces me that he was telling you that don't be ghost hunted by 2013, 2014. It's not going to happen. Yes, there are power outages. Nobody can deny it. Yes, the power outages have been long. Yes, the power outages have been recurring. But ECG tells me it is over. So I called ECG chairman Herbert Krapper. And Krapper told me that there's no power shedding. There's no power shedding right now. And I said, are you sure? He said, except that we have issued a statement. So let's go on the screen and look at their statement. Do you have the ECG? It's a very, very short statement they put across. Let me go to the touch screen and see whether we can get it done nicely. Okay. So yes, outages due to rainstorm. Press release. The Electricity Company of Ghana wishes to inform our cherished customers and the general public that the interruption in service being experienced in parts of Accra is due to the rainstorm that's hit the Greater Accra region on Wednesday, 1st May 2024, which has flooded the following primary substations: Station H, Jowulu; Bema Camp L; Station D, Aveno; High Street HAH; La Trade AJ; Lakeside Estates, and Bawe. These are the places whose substations were affected by the rainstorm. Otherwise, the ECG chairman corroborates what the president is saying. There's absolutely no power shedding, load shedding anywhere in Ghana. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Tonight, in fact, after this program, I'll do what we did on Tuesday. Guys, are you ready? We'll go around and be checking some places. So, Herbert, good evening. So, please, is it that anytime it rains, the substations that you mentioned, they will have power outages, or, but I have to congratulate Mr. Herbert Krapper. He has stayed true to his word. He told me that in 10 days he'll solve the problem. Today he sent me a text that he has solved the problem. He's the Deputy Minister of Energy and the Chairman of the Electricity Company of Ghana. He's a lawyer and barrister by training, and he also has a master's degree in corporate law. So he wanted to be a member of parliament. But what happened to your ambition to be a member of parliament in the Volta region? Okay, I'm sure that's going to happen very soon. He'll be a member of parliament. But we keep an eye on him, you see. He's a young man with a lot of energy, and I really trust his brain power. Everybody who knows Herbert knows that he's a very clever man. So we are going to keep an eye on him, but I hope that it will work, and I hope that it will work well. All right, because we have very little time left now, let me just go to that. I was going to do a story on the Imani one. Franklin Kujo, I promise you I'll do that story. I think I'll share it for Tuesday. I'll be able to do it on Tuesday. Now, though, let's go to the United States of America. Michael, join me on the set. Let's talk about what is happening in America. So viewers, those of you who have been following, and those of you who are interested, those of you who have children in American universities, you know what's been happening in America these days? When the Israel-Gaza war started, there was a bit of quarrel, if I can put it that way, in American universities, and Congress became interested. The Senate committees invited the Harvard boss, the lady, she's now been removed as Harvard boss, etc., etc. I think died down a little bit. Then Iran struck Israel, and then Israel then took the matter up as retaliation. And Israel said that they are going to deal with Iran because Iran is the principal supporter to Hamas and Hezbollah. So, the students on university campuses in America decided to go out again in support of the people of Palestine. Not so much Iran, but Palestine. Mikhail, what's the latest?
Right. So these are the demonstrations that are happening. The truth is they're happening across the U.S. in various universities. I wanted us to, yes, so this is Representative Elise Stefanik. She is a very, in the sense, a very major figure. We have the chair of the House Committee on Education. We have, obviously, the embattled Speaker of the House of Representatives. I wanted us to watch a video very briefly, placing this entire situation in context. Can we watch the Harvard testimony video?
Okay, let's have a look at the Harvard testimony video.
Ms. McGill, at Penn, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's rules or code of conduct? Yes or no?
If the speech turns into conduct, it can be harassment, yes.
I am asking specifically calling for the genocide of Jews. Does that constitute bullying or harassment?
If it is directed and severe or pervasive, it is harassment.
So the answer is yes.
It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
It's a context-dependent decision. That's your testimony today. Calling for the genocide of Jews is depending upon the context. That is not bullying or harassment. This is the easiest question to answer yes, Ms. McGill. So is your testimony that you will not answer yes?
If it if the
yes
speech
or
becomes
no?
if the speech becomes conduct, it can be harassment, yes.
Conduct meaning committing the act of genocide? The speech is not harassment? This is unacceptable, Ms. McGill. I'm going to give you one more opportunity for the world to see your answer. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's code of conduct when it comes to bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be harassment.
That was quite feisty. What's that about?
Yeah, so this blew up. This actually was the most viewed Senate hearing in history. Easily over 1 billion views. Like, you know how boring political events can be. This got attention. This got a lot of people angry. It got Jewish people angry, largely, because why were the presidents of these universities struggling to say, obviously, calling for the genocide of Jews is a bad thing? And they struggled. So the question was put there. Now, some of the possible answers that were considered as political pundits were discussing it was perhaps, firstly, because the people who are engaging in these demonstrations are on the left. So then
the students?
The students.
Mm-hmm.
You see, you know how...
Well, many students are idealistic and therefore left-wing. Yeah.
That's the point. The university space, the academic space is largely left-wing.
Left-wing.
So now, if these university heads are seen to be criticizing, it's almost like the left cannibalizing itself. That was one thing. The second point is, these demonstrations have happened for a long time, since October 7th, interestingly. So then, if they say that it is bad, the next question is, if you guys, the heads of these universities, know that this is bad, why have you allowed it to go on for so long? So that's why they struggle with this hearing. And then from that, the fallout was crazy. So the Harvard president, Claudine Gay, she was also at the hearing. She testified, and this entire thing went so crazy. So I want us to monitor the timelines. This is the 6th of December when she had the hearing, and this is the Harvard Crimson detailing the things that happened. So she in her hearing said that the donors of Harvard do not really have an influence on how they run the university. Let's remember that. She is saying that Harvard donors don't really influence how Harvard is run. Let's continue. Now, again, on December 8th, 2 days later, she apologizes. First, herself, the president of MIT, and even...
apologized for saying that the donors don't have a role in this.
Apologized for struggling to answer the question of, is it bad for the genocide of Jews to be called for? That's what she apologized for. A lot of other people.
Let me just
apologize
inform
for that.
viewers that in a minute at 11 o'clock, we'll be going off Metro TV, but we are on social media, Good Evening Ghana Official. So if you are watching us on Metro TV, switch your phone, go to Facebook, Good Evening Ghana Official. Let's continue looking at this very interesting story about students. Sorry, we had to end at 11 because it's a sponsored program. We are working hard to get 15 minutes more. When it comes, we'll take it. But now we are ending at 11, and we continue on social media. Yes, so go on.
So she apologized for struggling to answer this question. Now, we would have thought that because a lot of people were calling for the punishment, the rolling of heads of these university presidents, something would have happened. But no, December 12th, 4 days after that, the Harvard board actually said that they support her, meaning that after struggling, after essentially, should I say, supporting anti-Semitism, she's still receiving support. That's how it seemed at the time. But then eventually she resigned. Firstly, yes, because of the Congress testimony, but also because she had a number of plagiarism allegations, which...
Against her personally?
Yeah, quite...
What does she teach? Professor of what?
She's a professor of, I believe...
Science?
No. It's a humanities thing.
Okay.
It's one of the intersectionality, equity, gender, diversity, that kind of thing.
Oh, I see.
Yes. And so these were the problems.
Is she LGBT? Most likely. No, in America, there's no problem with it.
Of course, there's no problem, but I've not seen anything suggest. So then the UPenn president, Liz McGill, also resigned after the backlash that came from this congressional testimony. So, yes, resigned after receiving criticism for her testimony, blah, 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 where she struggled to answer,
so at this
the
stage,
question.
It's not yet about Palestine.
Not yet. This is just the blowback. I want you to understand the antecedents for today's situation.
Okay.
So we have the Harvard president, she's gone. Penn president, also gone. Let's move on. And then...
And this all because they were alleged to be supporting students' action against Jews.
In a sense.
Or they were alleged to be overlooking anti-Semitism.
Because they said, is it bad for the genocide of Jews to be called for? They said that...
That's anti-Semitism, clearly.
Only if the words translate into conduct. Meaning, I can go about saying, kill Jews. So long as nobody acts on that... then it doesn't violate the university policies. And this infuriated a lot of people, including...
But the United Nations definition for anti-Semitism is that A, you have to say something directly against Jews, Jewish culture, Jewish anything. And also, if you say something in support of an organization that has determined and set out against Jews, that's also anti-Semitism. So if I say, God bless Hamas, that's anti-Semitism. God bless Hezbollah, that's anti-Semitism.
Yes.
So that's the United Nations definition. Whether it's good or bad, that's the definition we're working with right now.
Following that definition, we go into what happened during these protests. A number of what would be classified anti-Semitic statements were made. For example, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. A lot of Zionist people consider that essentially calling for the eradication of Jewish people, because from the river to the sea, according to them, means that the state of Israel must be cleared for the state of Palestine to reign. That's one thing. There were other statements. There's this trope about Jewish people that they love money and they are... I can't. It's horrible. Those things have been put out. So yes, anti-Semitism is there. So these are the protests. Just stories. About a week ago, these protests really got into full swing in UCLA, in Columbia University.
The latest one.
No, so the most latest issues are in Columbia and UCLA. That's where things have gotten really violent. But from a week ago up till now, protests have been happening and people have been arrested. It's just in the past 24 to 30 something hours that over 400 people have been arrested. But in these various universities, students have been arrested for their protests. And so this is just footage of one student getting arrested. This is at UCLA, I believe, yes. And we've got, So now, looking at all these protests and all these demonstrations as they have happened, there's been a lot of reaction from people because these protests have swept the entire United States and it split people. Some people believe that this is good. Students are protesting. They believe something evil, according to them, is happening in another part of the world, and they believe that they have a voice and they can put it out. Yes, their protests have gotten violent in some cases, and we have a video, I'll show you that later. In other cases, all they're doing is protesting, and students or people have the rights to exercise civil disobedience. And so this individual, he's a right-wing political commentator by name Benjamin Aaron Shapiro. He is of the view that all of the protesters, whether they were caught violating laws, preventing people from going into the school buildings, into the campus, taking over entire buildings, as we saw in Columbia University. They took over a hall, named it Hind Hall, after a girl who died in Hamas, who died in Palestine. He believes that all of these individuals should be arrested, should be prevented from graduating if that is what the universities choose to do. Some other people believe
that's
that.
quite harsh.
Yes, some say it's harsh. There have been human rights advocates saying that, well, they're kids and they're students and they're idealistic. Now, Brown University went a different way. Brown, as at now, is the only university that has met with these protesters. And by the way, what the protesters want is for the universities, from the Ivy League universities to the mid-tier universities to the regular universities, what these protesters want is for university administration to divest financially from Israel. What does that mean?
Don't take money from Jews.
Basically.
But you can't tell the university that.
Also, they can't do business with anything relating to Israel. Any Jewish company, any company based in Israel, they say cut all ties because according
that's
to
what
them,
the students are demanding.
That's what they want universities.
But these universities don't belong to government. They belong
they're
to
private.
shareholders.
So are you telling us what to do? And this goes back to the public
You
reception.
must rather leave the university and go to another one.
But you see, the US is a very liberal state.
Yeah, but the university doesn't belong to government.
Yeah.
It belongs to some people. It's theirs. It's their property.
And this is why people are criticizing this stuff. Firstly, like Benjamin Shapiro here, he says, first, you guys are kids. You don't understand what you're protesting. You want the universities to cut ties with Israel. How many jobs might be lost from that? You don't know. What would come from it? You don't know. But you are stealing buildings, you are getting rocks and baseball bats ready to fight police officers when you're protesting, and you don't really understand these issues. So yes, it's a private business. Yes, they can do whatever they want, but this is what they want. And Brown University decided to put it to a vote, that at least they'll vote the board on whether or not they will divest from Europe. Other universities, no.
What did the votes turn out in Brown?
No, it's not yet happened yet. Other universities, they've been arrested, they will not graduate. And some of the students who hide their identity make it harder for them to be identified. So now, this is where the analysis begins. Now, what is the role of money in university administration? As we've seen, well, there's freedom of speech and you can protest and you can say this and that and that. So, right, this is Harvard University and UPenn. The donors were very unhappy, understandably, because the majority of them are Jewish people. They're alumni who donate to the universities. Now, they say, your university president struggled to say that calling for my people is bad. You were co-vacated at that instance. People are demonstrating saying that people like me should not exist. My Israel state, the state of Israel, is a criminal enterprise, blah, blah, blah. If you don't do something about that, the millions I'll be giving to your school, I will stop giving it to your school. And then people say, well, does that matter? Does that not matter? So let's look at this. This is a CNN story. It says big donors cutting ties could also convince smaller donors to end their contributions, hurt alumni relations, and put pressure on the president or member of the board of trustees, blah, blah, blah. And it says the impact will be felt in other areas. Smaller private and flagship schools could be more exposed to financial repercussions if donor backlash spreads from Ivy League universities to smaller schools. This means that when big donors stop giving money to universities, other donors see, well, the people who are giving $400 million to Harvard have stopped. I'm giving $2 million a year. I might as well also stop. Yeah. Now, the point is, will this have a problem? Will this impact the universities? Let's go on. Right, so these are more stories of how, to illustrate just how seriously the frustration was. So we have Jewish Harvard alumni, they threatened to stop donating. This billionaire, Ken Griffith, says he's not donating anymore. We have another, yes, there were about 1,600 here who said they're no longer giving to these universities. So basically, this blew up. Now, I want us to understand the impacts this will have to these universities. So we have Brown University, their endowment fund, basically like the school's bank account, $6.6 billion. Columbia has $13.64. Cornell has just
$1 billion.
Yeah, they're rich schools.
Richer than some countries.
Very, very rich. Harvard has $50.7 billion that they're sitting on. This goes into scholarships. Billion with a B.
Wow.
Goes into
all
scholarships,
donations, alumni.
So for Harvard,
and most of them are Jews.
Yes, that's the thing. You can't.
And then you take a placard and say that kill all Jews.
Yeah, and racism and anti-Semitism and so on. Yes. So now, yes, Princeton also and so on. All these schools. So I put this here so we can understand something. Now this is from Harvard's 2022 fiscal year financial overview. It says here they have a operating expense of $5.4 billion every year. So let's use Harvard as a case study. Harvard, 50.4. They use about what? 5.9 every year. Imagine the majority of the donors say that they're not giving money to them anymore because they're very dissatisfied with what is happening. In just about a decade, this school will be in a lot of trouble. It goes to show that, yes, you have the freedom to say whatever you want to do. You have the freedom to advocate for this and that. By all means, please exercise it. Joe Biden himself made the point that protest should be free, but there are consequences because you're living in a society that has give and take, action, reaction. So let's move on. This is, I think, is it UCLA? Columbia. Columbia's operating expenses, they have got also about 5.9 billion yearly. So it's the same point. If the money stops coming in, obviously not 100% of their cash inflows come from donors, but a significant percentage.
So they don't run their schools on school fees because their school fees are quite hefty.
It's not significant. The money comes largely from
and all that goes into research. So they're able to attract top professors across the world.
Research,
and then they're able to generate things to make the school better.
Exactly.
Salaries are quite high in Harvard as well.
Nowadays, Harvard professors make very good money.
Yeah, the Harvard president works out $5 million a year.
You see, so money is very important. We can even draw a parallel between this and in the Ghanaian situation.
So the professors will be the hardest hit?
They would be, if this happened.
Yeah.
Even with the COVID situation, Harvard was in the...
Well, that's why they are calling on the police to come and deal with the students.
Oh, the police have been in, yes, and they've cracked down. So, okay, not yet. We'll look at the video later. The police were basically the schools that had enough. They're fed up with them. They called them in. People were criticizing them for calling them late because there was some sort of complicity because, again, the academia is a left-wing community. So it's like, yeah, you guys, our children are being...
Well, what did Joe Biden say? He said,
Joe Biden.
I was watching this later on. He said, he seemed to have straddled the middle way. He said,
Biden,
yes, you can demonstrate, but you cannot stop other students from going about their business. Yes. You can't stop other students from going to school.
Yes.
So if you do that, the police will come.
Yes.
But demonstration is free.
Yes.
That seems to have straddled the middle way.
He made the point that protesting is good. It's part of the bedrock of the American community, freedom of speech. But to his credit, he said that violence is bad, and he condemned that. So by all means, protest peacefully. But don't go and take over a whole building and say we're taking it in the name of someone who has perished, or we're not going to allow you to enter the school even though you've paid your tuition, your very, very expensive tuition, by the way. So Joe Biden, to his credit, has really attempted to say that protest, but don't break the law.
Okay,
let's move on. Yes, now this is the problem between Biden and Trump. So Trump and his people basically say that this is what is happening in your administration. There is chaos. Students are protesting. They're taking over universities, and he's going to run on this. Biden is not. He's not doing well because this is
what is he saying? What's Biden saying?
Biden, I don't. Looks like an NCR. Basically, Biden is saying that again. Please feel free to protest, but don't break the law. I want us to watch the video on the TikTok generation and Biden's wars. This summarily explains his problem.
What video should they be playing?
TikTok and Biden.
TikTok and Biden. Let's see that video finally, and then we'll wrap up.
The Free Palestine movement has been hijacked by left-wing dark money and extreme far-right Islamic right money. It is what it is. So who's falling victim, who's falling prey to what's going on right now? Well, it's Gen Z. Gen Z is the most confused, indoctrinated generation of all time. They were the only generation in the history of this world that was born to a social media phone in their hand. This is the TikTok generation. That is the literal nickname of Gen Z. So you see these protests at Cornell, at Columbia, at Texas, Minnesota, GW, Emory. These are all 18 to 24-year-old kids. Now, all these kids have been faced with two things. They started college during COVID, and they're ending college during this election cycle. They've been indoctrinated. They have no mind of their own. They've been completely brainwashed by TikTok. They're doing what they feel is right. But we all know that facts don't care about your feelings.
Yeah.
This is why these people are useful idiots. And this comes back down to Biden. Do you see the approval rating of amongst Gen Z to Biden, young people?
What is it?
80% disapprove. There it is right there. 81% disapprove of this particular thing. So, you know, in the Bible, they say no one can serve two masters.
Yeah.
This is what Biden's problem is right now. He's funding Israel while he's also trying to appease the Gays for Gaza movement, the Free Palestine. And it all intersectionality happens in Michigan. This is why they say, as Michigan goes, so the election. This is 18 to 35.
18 to 35.
So this is the younger millennials all the way down to the youngest Gen Z.
Yeah, that's pretty
This
wild.
is the reason why Genocide Joe is going to lose the election.
Hey, what do we do with this video? Mikhail, explain to us. What's he saying?
So-
he called the president Genocide Joe.
Yeah, the Americans are very free, basically, in terms of the way they speak, they criticize their president and so on. They're very, very free. So the reason he says Genocide Joe is because of the way Biden is in trouble between the Israel situation and the Palestine situation. Because the U.S. is giving money to Israel, but it's also giving money to Palestine. So it's like a difficulty. And again, as you notice, he said that among Gen Z, Biden is really struggling. He has about 85% disapproval ratings with young people. They don't like how he's handling that. And that's very, very important because there's this group in Congress, some of them refer to it as the Hamas caucus, and some people say it's a pejorative. But this group of people are very, very vocal, progressive liberals, as opposed to the classical liberals. And these people are very, very pro-Palestine, largely almost to the point of being pro-Hamas. And they are very influential with their constituents. So the point is, if Biden does anything that seems to be dissatisfactory to these individuals, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Cori Bush, Ibram X. Kennedy, they would speak to their constituents potentially and say, this guy does not properly represent our interests, not vote for him. So it makes Biden's situation in the Democrat Party very, very, very precarious.
Very interesting. Okay, 16 minutes past 11. What text message do you have so we can wrap it up?
Okay, so people are still on the OSP matter. They are saying, Isa Ibrahim Baba says the SP was involved in Rambo style when he went to Madam Cecilia residence. The SP should bow his head in shame for engaging in fishing expedition with regards to the investigation. Regards to lawyer Charles Bisu, the incoming MP for Esikado Ketai constituency. And lastly, from Master Planner, he says, till date, I have not heard someone or any institution complaining that Madam Cecilia Dapa has taken their money. Because of politics, some people are trying to tag this innocent woman. God will continue to protect her. Over to you, Angela.
Okay, Yao Dre from North Kaneshi says, can Cecilia Dapa file a suit against the OSP for human rights violations? And we have Hajia Halima saying the OSP only followed the opinions of people, especially the opposition, and bastardized Madam Cecilia Dapa. And since he couldn't find any corruption related to the case, thinks his ego will be bruised if he comes out to admit that he couldn't find any corruption related to the case, reason why he handed over the case to Dioko, so that people won't be disappointed in him as he raised their hopes too high. Even today, I wouldn't say, if he says something, I would gloss over that. Even today, President John Mahama is saying he will prosecute her if in the unlikely event he becomes president, just to entice his foot soldiers. Anyway, Paul, back to you.
Okay, so that's it for Good Evening Ghana. It's past 11 and tomorrow is the end of the week. It's a weekend. If you drink, don't drive. Let's have a great weekend and meet again on Tuesday for another edition of Good Evening Ghana in this famous election year 2024. Thanks for your time. Good night.